The Ravens and the Bengals coming up here on CBS. Jim Nance along with Phil Simms on the call. And mentally, how do you see the Ravens approaching this game today?
Well, I'll say this, talking to John Harbaugh last night, he knows it's an emotional place here in Cincinnati. It's an explosive football team. Weather the storm early. He says if we do that, we have a great chance of winning here today.
The Ravens have deferred after winning the toss. So Tucker will tee it up and send it down to Brandon Tate. Brandon Tate with 2 career kickoff returns at New England and 1 with Cincinnati, as well as a punt return for a touchdown. So he's dangerous. Tucker and the Ravens know it. They're excellent on special teams. Baltimore midway in the end zone. Tate is met at the 19 by Jeremy Miles. Here comes Andy Dalton on quite a roll now here late in the season. His last 3 games, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. The offensive front, Collins will be protecting that left side now in his 6th year out of Kansas. And A.J. Green, 4 catches today. He will break Anquan Bolden's mark for the most catches the first 3 years in the league. Actually going to come out spread with 4 receivers. And Dalton goes down the field, one-on-one coverage, and it is intercepted by Corey Graham. Corey Graham is able to get control of it and takes it all the way back to the 21. They were trying to find Marvin Jones. It was a battle for the football, and Graham won it.
The football is overthrown, top of the screen. John Harbaugh talked about it. Weathered the storm early, and can we win some of the battles? Contested throws. That time, that's a contested catch. And what a position by Graham. And he really just takes it away from Marvin Jones. They need breaks. They got one here early.
What a start. Dalton had the longest active streak in the league. Most consecutive passes without a pick. It ends at 132. First play of the game, a takeaway by the Ravens, who come out with 3 receivers. Rice, the running back. Flacco from the gun gives it to Rice, who was only able to squeeze out a yard to the 20. Pecco on the tackle. Flacco, the first NFL starting quarterback to make the playoffs his first 5 seasons, hoping to find a way today to extend it to 6. Yanda, the Pro Bowler at right guard. And Torrey Smith, over 1,100 yards on the season. 2nd and 9 for the Ravens. Play action, and Flacco, mobile, able to get away from the pressure, throws on the run, and the ball is, I thought it hit the ground, but looks like on the field. They're going to rule it a catch by Marlon Brown.
It looked like, and you're giving it away. The Ravens look at him saying, hurry up.
They know it.
That tells you Marvin Lewis has got to throw that flag out there right now and take a chance.
You saw Torrey Smith saying, come on, frantically, let's get it to the line of scrimmage. Try to get that in the books as an official play and catch, but now the challenge flag is out. Scott Green will be reviewing it.
Cincinnati is challenging the previous play.
You're right, Phil. They did give it away, didn't they?
They gave it away, so Marvin Lewis, he's trusting the Raven players. How about that?
This won't take long for Scott
After
Green.
reviewing the play, the pass is incomplete. The ball hit the ground prior to the receiver gaining possession. It'll be 3rd and 9 on the 20-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 13 minutes and 58 seconds.
You see Torrey Smith to the right. He had really a front row seat, and he was the one who was signaling, hey, come on, hurry up to the line, guys.
He gave it away, and that's what Marvin Lewis, that's why he threw the flag. There was not going to be time for a replay for the coaches on the Bengals to look at it. So, you know, as I say, Jim, don't trust your players, trust the other team. What Marvin Lewis did, and they got rewarded. That was a good turnout to be a big play.
3rd and 9 now for Baltimore from the 20. And Flacco's going to the end zone, and it's knocked away, incomplete, trying to find Jacoby Jones. And George Iloka batted it away.
George Iloka could be the guy that made this pass go incomplete because out of the corner of his eye, Jacoby Jones saw a safety flying over there. What a good reaction by Iloka. He watched the quarterback and got there.
4th and 9 will bring out Tucker, Pro Bowl kicker, from 38 yards. The wind, well, it's a little bit of a crosswind at the moment. We see our CBS wind tracker, 35 of 38 on the year, and Tucker is good. So they cash in with 3 off the pick. Just a minute and 12 seconds into the game, and Baltimore puts up 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx. And by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today.
So we've seen an interception. We've seen a challenge won by Cincinnati. And now we'll see Tucker kicking off for the second time. With the Ravens putting up a field goal. And Tate this time will not be running it back. Dalton is 1-4 in his career against the Ravens. He threw 3 picks in the matchup November the 11th at Baltimore. A couple of touchdowns, but was picked off 3 times, twice by Ihedivo. Today, the first snap of the game is an INT, giving him for his career 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions against that Baltimore defense.
Yeah, Jim, I said it was an overthrow. What I meant to say, it was an underthrow by Andy Dalton. Threw it up there too softly on an interception. Didn't get the football down the field enough.
Comes out with 6 linemen. Dennis Rowland, the 6th, as he completes it over to A.J. Green. And he's got a gain of about 7. Here's that Ravens defense, ranked number 9 in the league. Actually first in the league in forcing 3 and outs. Nata makes the Pro Bowl again. So does Suggs. And Ihedivo with the 2 picks of Dalton. Well, Webb got the other one in that matchup back in November. 2nd and 3. And Green Ellis with Nata riding with him, carries it across for a first down. We've got an update. We go back to JB in New York.
The Steelers' first possession, Shannon.
Yes, playing like a team that wants to get into the playoffs. Ben Roethlisberger, 9 yards. Jericho Cochran into the end zone. 7-0 Steelers over the Browns early in the first.
And Jim Nantz knows it all too well. Pittsburgh needs a win and a lot of help. Jim Nantz and Phil Simms.
Yeah, the biggest long shot of all today. Thank you, JB. Needing losses by Miami, Baltimore, and San Diego, as well as their own win. First down picked up by the Bengals. First time the chains have been moved in this game, and a timeout called by Dalton. With just 1 second on the play clock.
It's hard, this defense of the Ravens. They do show a lot to the quarterback. And Andy Dalton many times has 2 plays when he goes to the line of scrimmage. They're both wordy. He has to figure it out, and that time couldn't figure it out quick enough.
Well, this team here at the Jungle, as they know it, 7-0 on the year, but the last 4 games, over 40 points every time. They average on the season 15 more a game at home than they do on the road. And in these last 4 games, they've been helped by their defense putting up touchdowns. 5 defensive touchdowns in that 4-game home stretch.
Now, always when you talk about teams that like this and they get on these hot streaks on the offensive side, that means you usually are getting some help from your defense. Turnovers, good field position, special teams touchdowns. The Bengals, they have been hot, and they're doing it all here at home.
Alex Smith is their tight end today because I should mention both Gresham and Eifert are out, inactive with injuries. 1st and 10, setting up screen to Bernard. And trying to wiggle his way off of Darryl Smith, but unable to get away from Smith.
Really good play by Darryl Smith, and this is what you have to do against this Bengals offense. They are an excellent screen team to the wide receivers, and especially to this guy, Giovanni Bernard. I would say, Jim, you're going to see 4 or 5 screen plays at least to Bernard from the halfback position. Why? Because he can take any of them and go about 70 yards on you.
Back to the 4-receiver formation, stacking a pair on each side on 2nd and 11. And a quick toss over to Sanzenbacher. And in traffic, he's able to negotiate a gain of about 7.
Yeah, how about that? Sanzenbacher. They talk about him here. Jay Gruden, the offensive coordinator, says, gosh, this guy can do everything as a wide receiver, but we have so much talent out there, we have a hard time even getting him on the active roster. Wide receiver screens, screens to the tight end, screens to the running back. Jay Gruden, this offense, you'll get a headache watching everything they do on the offensive side. They're very complicated.
A 3rd and 4. And that's going to be a first down. Marvin Jones has the catch. And a blitz pickup helped make that play.
It did. Watch Bernard comes across, sees it the last second. And a good job by Andy Dalton getting rid of the football quick. Both of these teams, I can say this about the Cincinnati offense and the Ravens offense, they were absolutely awful in the first matchup. They didn't do a good job against the blitz. Their quarterbacks got hit a lot, and it caused turnovers.
Now it's going to be a delay game. They almost got caught one time. This time they do.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Fantasy football fans, keep the excitement going in the postseason with Playoff Challenge. Even bigger cash prizes. All at CBSSports.com/challenge.
Well, Andy Dalton said about the game against the Ravens weeks ago, he goes, oh my gosh, I watched the tape of it. It makes you mad to see how bad we were picking up those blitzes and reacting to them.
Bernard gets the carry. And the rookie from North Carolina, a gain of 2.
Also, when you look at, we talked about the weapons on the offensive side for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I think one of the big keys that's helped turn this team around is Andrew Whitworth, Jim, is going from left tackle to left guard. Then they put Anthony Collins outside, who's a terrific pass blocker, but Whitworth inside has made him more stable. It makes him more powerful. And when you have a good offensive line, let those skill guys show off what they can do.
2nd and 13. And Dalton is going to be picked for a second time. Ehedebo has him again. Ehedebo hurdles past one tackler, takes it to the Cincinnati side of the field, and a flag comes out back at about the 43 on a Baltimore block. So Ehedebo with his 3rd pick of the year, all of them coming at the hands of Dalton.
Well, it's just an overthrow this time, Jim. He has A.J. Green down the middle. He had a little pump fake. He's got what he wants.
After the interception, illegal block in the back, 10-yard penalty, first down Baltimore.
And when you have tall wide receivers, watch A.J. Green going down the middle. They do throw a lot of high passes, expecting receivers to jump and make that catch. But that time it was just too high, and the Ravens playing safe. Safeties are back, worried about big plays from the Bengals offense. They get the 2nd interception.
So 2 interceptions early in the game, and Kyle Cook, the center for the Bengals, hobbled to the sideline after the play. First down throw by Flacco. And he's found Bernard Scott, the former Bengal, for a gain of 7. Cincinnati's defense, you talked about it in the open, Phil. They have posted great numbers again under Mike Zimmer. Pecco, they call him the glue around here. Perfect 12 tackles coming in away from a 200 tackle season. 2nd and 2. And Scott might have been stopped about a half-yard shy of the first.
Well, a couple things. When you look at Joe Flacco, help him out today with play calls, give him some easy throws, and also, no doubt, was not sharp last week, but the experience, Jim, of playing with that knee should help him out here today.
He said that knee brace last week had nothing to do with anything, but we were there for the New England game, and particularly early, it seemed like there was a real adjustment period.
Yeah, he said that to us, and then he limped out of the room. So, look, there's no matter what you do. He's not worse this week with his knee, but it's still not well.
It's 3rd and a foot. Try to earn it on the ground. They get it with Pierce taking it over to the Cincinnati side and running behind Michael Orr.
Yeah, good job. This is a pretty determined team. You can see it already when you talk to or watch the Ravens, and they need Bernard Pierce. He read it right that time. He got through the first tackle. He broke it and got some extra yards. These running backs for the Ravens must get some extra yards after contact, make somebody miss, and get a big play.
Largo,
Flacco got a man. It looks like he has another first. Torrey Smith. They have spotted it just shy. 71 wins since 08. That's regular and post, and that's the best. Of course, Brady and Manning during that span, and on that first 5, both missed a season of football.
Yeah, he's been consistent. We've talked about it so many times, haven't we? Extremely underrated. Tough situation for him this year with this offense. Skill-wise, they're just not as good as last year, and it hurts the quarterback.
They did get the first down to Smith, and now they run it with Pierce. And it's no gain. We've got another update coming out of our studios in New York. JP, take it away.
Carolina clinches the South with the win, but
And the Falcons aren't cooperating. 9 yards. Matt Ryan, Jason Snelling absorbed the big hit. 7-0 Falcons on top of the Panthers.
basketball yesterday, football today. Jim Nance and Phil Sims.
Well, thank you, JB. A little double dip. Saw a couple of teams we might be seeing down in Dallas at the Final Four. Kentucky and Louisville. In 3 months' time. 2nd and 9 here as the Ravens try to take advantage of a second takeaway in the early action. As Flacco. That flag does come out. Pitta was saying he was being held by Burfict.
Holding, defense, number 55. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Scott Green, such a good official. He came into our trucks to visit with Lance Barrow and Mike Arnold and our crew, and told us that this is going to be it for him. He's retiring at the end of today after spending time as an NFL official since '91. And Larry Rose, the side judge today, also retiring after spending 17 seasons as an NFL official. Great service to the league by those two gentlemen. And they will be missed. Here's a 1st and 10 carry by Bernard Scott. And he's getting some early action here with Rice and Pierce usually alternating. What's the story here?
Well, there's no doubt they're unhappy with the running back situation. And, you know, the old motto is in the NFL, if they block it for 4 yards, you got to get more than 4. And I think the production from the running backs, yes, the blocking has not been great, but you got to make people miss. You got to break those tackles, and it has hurt this offense. So I'm sure that's why Scott is in there. Pretty quick running back, can make people miss. I'm sure they're hoping he gives a big play.
2nd and 8 over to Pitta. Pitta fighting for that yardage and pushed back about a yard shy. He got a block over there by Scott.
He did.
Yes, Scott protecting his quarterback.
Well, you know, you're just saying Dennis Pitta on the catch. That's the 2nd time Joe Flacco's gone to him, and that's a great sign for this offense. They need an inside presence to throw the football to. Last year it was Pitta and Anquan Bolden. They've missed them basically the whole year. Dennis Pitta feeling better. We'll see if it changes this offense as the game goes along.
Pierce comes back behind Flacco. Dixon in at tight end, and there's Leach shifting on 3rd and 1. Pierce picked up one already on 3rd down. He's got another one. The first time on 3rd and a foot, he gained 9, and this time he carries it for 12. They'll make it 14.
Good inside blocking. They double team Pecco that time, and that's the guy you worry about in the run game for the Cincinnati defense. Domata Pecco, hard to get him out of there, but with the double team, that's who they run behind. Gronkowski and Shipley, awesome job by them.
So Pierce, big time runs and 3rd down situations on this drive. setting up a 1st and goal. Now the Ravens have struggled in the red zone here late in the season. On touchdown conversions, that is. Only 5 of the last 17. But Pierce.
You know, as you look at this, Jim, I know it's early, but do you see a little more determination from the running backs? Do you think somebody might have yelled at them and gave them the message, we need more from you? And they look determined running the football.
Especially Pierce.
Yes, Pierce just breaking those arm tackles. He's a big running back. He runs heavy, puts his feet in the ground, so when you hit him, he's not easily knocked off balance. Really good start by the offensive line and the running back.
2nd and goal.
What is it? 60 or so.
Throw to Pierce again, and takes a couple of Bengals to bring him down. Pushing it close to the 3. Last rush touchdown by the Raven backfield, by a running back, was week 11 at Chicago. Ray Rice, we were there.
We were there. Yeah, that is. Look, for a team that's big and physical, that's really kind of hard to believe. Tells you a lot about what's been going on with the Baltimore Ravens offense.
So they've run it the last 2 plays with Pierce. Now they've got a 3rd and goal. Hit a split out to the near side. And Flacco looking middle of the field, back of the end zone, incomplete. Headed in the direction of Pitta. And that was Dre Kirkpatrick in on the coverage.
There's nobody open on this. Really good technique by Kirkpatrick. He stayed outside. He's faster than Pitta. Watch everybody coming across the field. There is nobody open. That is awesome coverage. Bengals, good job in the red zone once again.
And again, the Ravens offense in the red zone. Having a hard time pushing it across for a touchdown. They'll bring Tucker out for a 22-yard attempt. And he's good again. So 2 interceptions leading to 2 field goals. This one, the overthrow, right into the arms of Ihedibo. And Tucker puts another 3 on the board for Baltimore. 6-0, 1st quarter. Your favorite superstar performers honor Shirley MacLaine, Carlos Santana, Herbie Hancock, Martina Arroyo, and Billy Joel. The Kennedy Center honors comes on tonight after 60 minutes. Only CBS.
You know, I was told that you have performed at the Kennedy Center. Is that true?
I was there for a great night with 4 former presidents honoring volunteerism in America. And I got to be one of the speakers that night.
Did you keep the speech short? That's what I want to know.
I stayed right on copy. Okay. Running it out is Tate. And pushed back at the 22 by McClellan. A little sparring afterwards. Time to let go, fellas.
Too much at stake to get a stupid penalty.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by ExxonMobil. And by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, and there is Kyle Cook, the starting center for the Bengals. He's got a foot sprain being taped up right now. Trevor Robinson takes over the center duties. He's going to come right out and have to snap it out of the gun. Give is to Green Ellis. Slides up off a couple of hits and has an 8-yard gain. A 1-2 punch here in the backfield for the Bengals. Green Ellis and Bernard. It's a good one.
Yeah, it is. You said it right. It is a 1-2 punch. I love NFL teams that have 2 different style running backs. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, doesn't get the credit he deserves. Tough runner, doesn't fumble. Then you got that tremendous changeup with Giovanni Bernard, who can make those big plays in the run and pass game.
Bounce.
2nd and 2. And another carry. And it's all wide open there for the taking. To Green Ellis. And that's another gain of 12. And let's go back to JB and Shannon in New York with an update.
Indy is 5-0 against the South and continue.
Already up 7-0, 4th and goal. Trent Richardson powers his way into the end zone. First rushing TD by Richardson since week 4. 14-0 Colts over the Jags.
There you go. Jim Nance and Phil Sims.
Yeah, his first carry, fellas, was a touchdown. That was the one you talk about week 4. His first carry as a Colt at San Francisco. Now, here is a first down run by Green Ellis. And he tumbles after 5. They've also made a change on that offensive front. Not only is Robinson in at center, but Mike Pollock has come into the game as well for him, Phil.
Yeah, he's been playing some guard, switching off with Kevin Zeitler, who's had an injury. He's been dealing with Jimmy, a little foot sprain. But that time, also the 2 tight ends, your top 2 tight ends are out today. Alex Smith, number 81, nice block, allowed him to get outside and get that run.
By the way, looking at that Colts highlight, the Colts win and the Bengals lose. The Colts could move up to the 3 spot in the playoffs, dropping the Bengals to 4. As Dalton's got a man wide open, and it's a touchdown with A.J. Green. yards, and he was all alone behind the Baltimore secondary.
Yeah, it's a great job by Andy Dalton. Marvin Lewis says we are best when we attack, and I'd say that's attacking after 2 interceptions. A little move, just, oh my gosh, he gets on the safety. Anytime that happens, the safety has no chance because there's a 2-way goal with one of the best wide receivers in the league, and he leaves him behind.
Yeah, Matt Elam, the rookie first rounder. He sprinted past him. And Green has his 6th career touchdown catch that's over 50 yards. And the extra point by Nugent puts Cincinnati ahead by 1. Well, off to a horrible start, but now in front off of that one play. Well, A.J. Green has yet another touchdown on the season, his 11th. And Andy Dalton has just tied Carson Palmer's Bengals single-season touchdown mark, his 32nd. As Nugent sends it to the goal line to Jacoby Jones. And he smashed at the 23. Harbaugh said last night in the meetings, do not give up the big play, can't let him go over the top.
Look at the free release, that's a big deal, going against the safety, but because of this route, they're not able to get over there and help him. So you try to be the defensive back, a safety, A.J. Green, one of the fastest wide receivers in the league, and that time Matt Elam actually tried to reach out and grab him, but couldn't get it done. There's not much you can say. It was the perfect play against a defense that play was designed to go against.
Harbaugh, an old defensive back, 45 minutes away from here at the University of Miami University in Ohio, as Flacco dumps it off to Pierce. And he fights for an extra yard or 2, picks up about 6, and that will end the quarter with the Bengals leading it 7-6. And we'll return to Cincinnati after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Hanson, Phil Sims back here in Cincinnati as we start the second quarter. And the Ravens face a 2nd and 3. And movement.
See if the defense jumped. Wallace Gilberry, number 95, could be the guy that jumped. What a year he's having, helping out the fact that they lost Geno Atkins inside.
Michael Orr thinks it's Gilberry.
Big discussion about it.
False start. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
A.Q. Shipley. He's the culprit.
Well, he's the left guard, so that's not the reason why Wallace Gilberry jumped. Okay, I didn't see it.
think they had the wrong number.
But I am getting old, and, you know, my eyes are not what they used to be, Jim.
We're good.
Rice remains out. It's Pearson running back on 2nd and 8. Camden Doss on the right side is the target. And he's thrown down right away by Reggie Nelson for no gain. Well, they certainly had opportunities at the start off the 2 interceptions.
They had what they wanted early. You get the turnovers. Can you capitalize? No. After the 2 turnovers, you have to say, wow, great job by the Cincinnati defense, holding them to field goals. And then the explosive offense, everything goes your way, and you're down 7-6.
And it's 3rd and 8 for the Ravens. As Flacco's in trouble, unloads it in time to Pierce. And the Bengals keep him short of the first. It was Michael Johnson in the face of Flacco. Pierce's catch is good for 5 yards, and that'll bring out Cook to punt.
Yeah, it just happened so slow. There was nobody open going down the field, and Michael Johnson, 93, gets through on the inside. When you look at these outside pass rushers, Dunlap and Johnson, they're about 6'6". They can run, and they get it in the way of the quarterback.
85th punt of the year coming up for Cook, 2nd most in the league. He punted 8 times in the first matchup against the Bengals. This is a good one. Sending Tate back to the 15. Still not down. Oh, and that last move cost him some yardage. Juszczyk finally finishes him off. It's a 1-yard return after all of that, and a 54-yard punt. Flacco is loosening up his right arm. Flacco was injured on that last pass play, and he's uncomfortable right now.
No doubt about it. When you watch how he falls, he lands on his elbow. The shock went right to the right shoulder.
Down Cincinnati, and Dalton looking to run with it, and does, and saves a sack and picks up 5. And here's what happened when Michael Johnson landed on him. Flacco, that is.
Yeah, he can't protect himself because they wrap him up. Oh, boy, when that right elbow hits that hard, you can feel the jolt that goes up into the shoulder joint. It could be the AC joint or the collarbone, who knows, but doesn't seem too concerned about it right now. Tells you he's okay.
Of course, Flacco sacked the 2nd most of any quarterback in the league behind Tannehill. Taking a beating here late in the year with the knee issue, and well, we'll see if it's an issue here with the shoulder. 1 second on the play clock, and getting it away on 2nd and 5 and throwing it away in the area of Andrew Hawkins. This new year, get a little crazy with Robin Williams and the Crazy Ones. New episode Thursday at 9, 8 Central, only CBS.
Well, good job as you look at this game and talk about the Bengals. Andy Dalton, it's either quarterback of the future. Do we have the guy that can take us to the Super Bowl? And the answer to both is yes. Cincinnati fans, get used to it. Andy Dalton's going to be the quarterback here for a long time.
Ball start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I make it a 3rd and 10. The big game as far as the Ravens. What's going on with Miami, JB?
Miami has incentive, Jim.
They win, Ravens lose, they're in. Tannehill, 5 yards to 60 minutes. Mike Wallace, 7-0. Dolphins on top early.
Or a Dolphins win and a San Diego win. Back to Jim Nance.
Middle.
And that's the one here in the early going that is of most interest, again, for the Ravens. 3rd and 10, Cincinnati. As Dalton has his man for the first down. It's Mohamed Sanu right in front of Webb for a gain of 12 and move the chains.
It is nice having a big wide receiver, and that's Mohamed Sanu. He's tough as they come, and he is a great complement to Marvin Jones and A.J. Green. Andy Dalton does this a lot. He throws it high because his guys can go up there and make contested catches. And we watched him at practice on Friday, and it is all out every single play. He is great for this football team.
Dalton's already hit 5 different receivers. And a new set of downs. That's Jones with his second catch. He only had one grab in the first matchup this year with Baltimore.
Tell you the hard thing to do if you're Jay Gruden is calling plays, try to get everybody involved, and you really want to do that. They threw a screen to Bernard. Now they've thrown the football pass to A.J. Green, Mohamed Sanu, and Marvin Jones. Now they're in the game. They feel good. They feel like they're part of the offense. And that's when an offense clicks at its best.
Dalton still has it and slides near the first down. Gave himself up after 9.
They do this too. They got everything in. Like I said, it's a headache trying to determine what they're going to do if you're a defensive player. They run this a couple times a game. Terrell Suggs doesn't even think about the running quarterback on the zone read, and Andy Dalton gets outside. Boy, TCU, he did this a lot. Did it well. Also, they run the Wildcat. They'll come in there with Sanu at quarterback and give you a little bit of that.
2nd and 1 at the 49. And over the top they go again. And boy, did Bernard have a step on that defense.
Oh, that was it. Really good play call. They spread it out, and it is a touchdown. Nice move, a little hitch and go, but he is a small running back. He is a running back, and he doesn't react to the pass down the field. Andy Dalton knows if it wasn't a touchdown, it was a big play.
Bernard can catch it. He's got 51 receptions on the season.
What you got? It tells you about this offense, though, doesn't it? 2nd and short, they were going for the home run ball, and a unique play to do it.
3rd and less than a yard. And the Ravens defense stops him short. Bernard was the ball carrier.
Depends on which official gets the spot here. It's about a half a yard difference between the two of them.
Ihedebo came up to close it down. Dumerville was in the area. And they're going to bring out the punting unit.
How about that? That's the risk when you go for the home run on 2nd down. You know, and I agree with this decision. Do not take a chance. You've got the momentum switched. Don't give it back to the Ravens by going forward on 4th and coming up short.
Remember, they have a new punter here at the end of the year, Sean Powell, after Kevin Huber suffered that broken jaw and cracked vertebrae against Pittsburgh 2 games ago. Powell, who punted for 5 games early in the year at Buffalo, averaged 40 yards a punt last week in his Bengal debut. And he's got a beauty this time, and it's covered up by Hawkins at the 1. Absolute perfection by the punting unit of Cincinnati. 50-yard boot and downed at the 1.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Holiday savings on the gifts everyone wants. Warner Brothers Pictures Grudge Match, now playing. And by the all-new 2014 Jeep Cherokee, built free.
A little famous Cincinnati chili. Meanwhile, it's been a chilly reception out here for the Ravens, who start inside the 1. Not a good running team, so this is a tough spot. And Flacco, who we were wondering about his health, he is out there and dives ahead just to give him a little more room, maybe a yard.
I don't know. There's a quarterback that was just rubbing his arm, his right shoulder, and there's a quarterback sneak. But at least what that does, why you run the quarterback sneak there, Jim? Because if you're running on 2nd down, you can at least absorb a tackle maybe behind the line of scrimmage. And remember, you must get the football completely out of the end zone for it not to be a safety if you're tackled.
2nd and 9, and Pierce is behind him. And from the end zone, Flacco's got the time. And down the field, incomplete. Double coverage on Torrey Smith, including Adam Jones. Nelson also there.
Well, you always hear this from teams. We can't let them get deep, and these two teams know, especially when you look at the Baltimore Ravens offense. They struggle in so many areas, and on 1st and 2nd down, they are notorious for throwing the football deep down the field, looking for that big play, and the Bengals defense all over.
just not able to get that deep ball game that they had last year to work this season, the Ravens.
They're just not making the tough catches. Big plays, not getting them, it's killing the offense.
3rd and 9. And Flacco had to get rid of it, and it's out of bounds. Carlos Dunlap took Flacco down after the throw.
Well, once again, a pass rusher coming untouched from the outside. Reggie Nelson. Oh, and Joe Flacco. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, good. Watch his left knee. Gets hit. Gets his leg caught on him a little bit. Now he's got the shoulder hurting that left knee. This is tough.
And you saw how wobbly he was when he got back on his feet. He is, again, taking his lumps. Cook has to punt from the back of the end zone. And the returner, Tate, is at the 48. Oh, and they got in on Cook. No flag back there. The ball bounces out of bounds at about the 43. Cedric Pierman was close to blocking that one. And here's Flacco again, getting walloped. Look at us. Like he was screaming there in pain. Flacco back on the bench after a short series that ended with this right here on 3rd down.
Two things. The left knee, and look at him. He's yelling right there in pain. And this is going to be tough for Joe Flacco. He's going to have to change the way he plays now. He's going to get the football. Boy, he's grabbing his left knee too, Jim. But he's going to have to grab the football and make decisions fast and let it go and just try to live to play the next play. Really tough to do. You got to make sure your head stays clear. That might be the hardest thing of all. Mentally staying sharp.
And that's Green Ellis to about the 37. Thursday on CBS, Sherlock's Greatest Rival returns in the first elementary of the year. Discover the hit drama Thursday at 10, 9 Central, only CBS. On the punt, some might be saying, wait a minute, was that not running into the punter there?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, I didn't think it was running into him. It was a little acting job. Tyrod Taylor warming up on the sideline, which is interesting. But also, Jim, he was only 13 yards back instead of the 15, so that changes the rules regarding the punters.
2nd and 4. And well covered up by Matt Elam this time on A.J. Green.
Beautiful play. That's how you stop these wide receiver screens. Defensive backs, especially safeties, need to react fast. And late in the year, Matt Elam, rookie from Florida, 1st-round pick, he is coming through for this defense. He's got a bright future. You want to be a really good defense, you need a safety back there that can make those type of plays.
4 receivers for the Bengals. 3rd down and 3. Again, it's a screen. Bernard gets hold of it and hurdles to the 20-yard line. Giovanni Bernard.
Well, they got what they wanted. Here comes the blitz. The game is great. It frees up Darryl Smith, but you always have to be alert for the screens with this offense. And they want to get the football to number 25 as many times as possible. Nice little adjustment, wasn't it? Hanging with the football. And there is a lot of shake in this guy's game. Oh, he looked down the field, saw there was no defenders there, then he concentrated on the football once again.
Picks up 15. And on 1st down, pump fake, and now the throwaway by Dalton. We've got another update on the Steelers-Browns game. James Brown and Shannon Sharp in New York.
Pittsburgh doing its part, Jim.
Yes, JB, they need to win and a lot of help, but it starts with the win first. 5 yards, Le'Veon Bell barrels his way into the end zone. 14-0, Steelers over the Browns.
Jim and Phil.
Le'Veon Bell is second amongst all rookies in scrimmage yards behind Lacey and just barely ahead of Gio Bernard, who just gave them that 1st down a few plays ago. 2nd and 10. to the end zone and almost pulled in with one hand by Green.
Beautiful throw. Good anticipation. A.J. Green waits a second long to turn his head. And they tried to beat the technique. Webb outside. Oh, if he goes up with both hands, it's a touchdown.
I'm actually surprised he didn't catch it.
Yep. Going against, I think, one of the best corners in the NFL, Darius Webb. Great cover guy, aggressive, tackles. He can do it all.
3rd and 10. They're 3 out of 4 on 3rd down. Dalton again flirting with the play clock. Gets it off just in time. And a timeout was called from the sideline. There was concern again they might not beat it. The snap, that is, in time. And that's a second timeout called by the Bengals. Both times battling against the play clock. Well, the 6th seed, again, that's the story really of the AFC today. Yeah, you've got the seeding issues for all those division winners. But Baltimore needing a win here and a Miami loss. Miami up in that game right now, 7-0, but the Jets are deep. Or they need a win and a San Diego loss. Or they need losses right across the board from all the 4 teams that have a shot at it. So again, Ravens are not necessarily out with a loss, but they would need all kinds of help. And you got Pittsburgh, in one case there, already up 14 on Cleveland.
Jets down inside the 10 against the Miami Dolphins. In case you're a Ravens fan, you want to know.
On 3rd and 10, Dalton now rolling out, going to the end zone, and it's wide of the mark. It was Hawkins he was trying to find.
Yeah, it's a late blitz. Even though it's picked up, Andy Dalton does not see Whitworth make that initial move. And that's why he gets out of there. Otherwise, I think he's going to have a chance for a touchdown.
Hey, Mike Nugent finally gets to attempt the field goal. Has not even had an attempt in the last 3 games.
Why is that?
Because they're so efficient in the red zone.
Because they're one of the best. They are smoking in the red zone, no doubt.
From 39 yards, he's 16 of 20 on the year. Howell is the holder. And Nugent. It's good. From 39. Puts the Bengals up 10-6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Aflac. When you're sick or hurt, Aflac pays you cash. Find out more at Aflac.com. And by Bank of America.
Well, the Bengals able to withstand 2 early picks and only surrender a couple of Tucker field goals, and now have scored 10 unanswered. 7-play drive that went just 22 yards before Nugent kicked it through. Bengals have just, again, mauled their opponents here at home, their last 4 home games. They've also, in the second quarter, including this one, outscored their opponents 69-6 in this quarter. Jacoby Jones wants it from 8 deep. Across the 20 and shoved out by Nelson, but a flag is out. 33-yard run back. And boy, is Flacco some kind of durable. He's never missed a game in his career.
During the return, holding receiving team number 36. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, he's having a rough go so far today. Even his first time he escaped the pocket, you could see that he was limping. The big hits, really not able to protect himself because those hits are coming so fast.
By the way, as he held that knee on that one hit you just saw for the second or third time, he did tell us last night he is not going to need surgery in the offseason. A lot of people have been speculating that there might be an issue with that, and he said that's not going to happen. Not going to be needed. Flag out.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty.
Bill, you mentioned the Jets were driving deep. Let's get the update. JB and Shannon.
Jim, D-line help on the O.
All hands on deck. Rex Ryan says, Sheldon Richardson, get in there, fullback. He barrels into the end zone. 7-7 ball game.
A little slimmer than the refrigerator, right? Jim Nance and Phil Simms.
Mini freeze.
How about that?
Sheldon Richardson.
And that is Marlon Brown with the catch. Down there in Miami, Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf are calling that game. And for the great Dan Deerdorf, a Hall of Famer, it's his final regular season broadcast. He'll be retiring in a couple of weeks' time from the booth after a decorated career in the divisional round. Say his goodbye. 2nd and 11. And it's Pierce with the Bengals right there. Perfect. Sets him back 2 yards.
Montez Burfict, he is the leader of this defense. Number 55, watch him recognize the screen, and then he beats Gronkowski outside to get the tackle. Burfict, he is absolutely the MVP of this Bengals defense. Leadership, knows what to do, and man, when he goes to make a tackle, there's no doubt about it. He runs through the person with the football.
3rd and 13. And it's Pierce. They gave him the little underneath throw, and he is stopped well short of the first. Normally it's Rice catching the screens and the little passes underneath, but he's not seeing a whole lot of action today.
No, he's not, but there's nowhere to go that time. Really good defense. Watch him surround the short pass. Joe Flacco can't wait to throw it, but look at that. 3 circling, taking down. John Harbaugh looked up, and this is what he did not want. The crowd is involved now.
3rd straight, 3 and out for the Ravens. Looks punt, fielded by Tate. Working the sideline, and finally is tripped up at the 48. 45-yard punt and a 14-yard run back. Excellent starting position coming up for Dalton. The Verizon halftime report is coming up with JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher, as they've been taking in all the early action. And again, we'll reset the latest scenarios on the Verizon halftime report.
Yeah, Coach Cowher sitting there trying to explain to them all what's really going on.
You don't think they can figure it out themselves?
He's the coach.
Oh, I see.
He's the leader. If something goes wrong, you blame him.
First down for the Bengals. As Dalton bails it out over to Alex Smith, and he fumbles, and it's recovered by Cincinnati. Just the 3rd catch of the year for Smith. As again, the top 2 tight ends are inactive today for the Bengals, Gresham and Eifert.
Really good read by Andy Dalton. Nobody open down the field, so he dumps it off. You said it. 3rd catch by Smith. Not used to handling that football in a crowd, and very fortunate for the Bengals. Whitworth there to get it.
Yeah, Whitworth alertly falls on it, and it's a 2nd and 3.
They are looking for big plays, this offense. Every time he drops back, they got guys going deep.
Quick wide receiver screen to Hawkins. And Hawkins inside the 30, and finally tackled at the 23. Marvin Jones and A.J. Green.
You think I'm overstating the case? They got some guys that can make it happen with the football. Little quick screen outside. You got Giovanni Bernard, and how about Hawkins? Fast, of course. He's small, quick in space, and it's like a punt returner. He sees where to cut. Cuts it back. Awesome move.
How about, though, the blocks by Green and Jones?
Yep, these wide receivers catch it, and they are all excellent blockers.
Picks up 22.
They got it all.
Bernard, short side, Hedibo, along with Nata. It's a 1-yard play.
Well, Jim, let's talk about this Cincinnati offense. Here we go. They do so much. They got jailbreak screens, bootleg passes, reverses, multiple formations, shift in motions. What do you do on the defensive side? Wide receivers, running backs. They got wildcat. We saw the zone read and all those passes. How was that? That was my...
I have never heard you talk at that speed before. That was a new gear.
That was for Jay Gruden. That was John explaining the offense. So, I wanted to do it. That was pretty good. Not quite fast enough, but I tried.
2nd and 9, and Bernard takes it inside the 20 to the 16. You need to catch your breath.
Yeah, it's hard to be him. Hey, but I told Jay, I said, man, this is. But when you look at this offense, that's what makes it tough. They are clicking. Jay Gruden has thrown a lot at them. They've absorbed it now over 3 years, and we're seeing a result of it after 3 years, and it is dangerous to say the least.
They are going to let this run down to the 2-minute warning, and they'll face that 3rd and 3 on the other side of this break. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Again, the Verizon halftime report is coming up with scores and highlights. Verizon halftime report. 3rd and 3. You see Suggs and Doomerville both on the sideline. First red zone trip of the day for the Bengals, who have scored on their last 12 red zone drives, touchdowns. And looking for the end zone here. And did he pull it in? Yes, he did. It's Jones with the touchdown grab.
It's a big key for this football team and throwing the football on big, deep in cuts and these seam passes. Did he get his hands under it? It looks like he does. And even the tight coverage by Webb looked like he might have even pass interfered. What a catch by Marvin Jones. We've seen that before in the end zone.
His 10th touchdown reception of the season. He did have a 4-touchdown game earlier this year, but 10 on the year. His first ever touchdown came week 17 last year against Baltimore. And now that makes it 13 straight touchdowns in the red zone for Cincy. Extra point good. And the Ravens have allowed now touchdowns on the last 10 red zone possessions by their opposition. Dalton sets the new team record with 33 touchdown passes in a season.
Well, Jim, let's look at the touchdown and see why it happens. It's a good read by Andy Dalton. The safety's in the middle. They're going to send him up inside in that seam, trying to give the offensive player just a little bit of room. They do it. A good release off the line of scrimmage and a perfect throw by Andy Dalton. Webb is all over it, but nothing you can do about throws like that in the end zone that are high.
Boy, that is quite a catch, too, by Marvin Jones. We were talking to him on Friday about his first ever touchdown in the NFL. And here it was just a year ago against Baltimore.
Well, he's having quite a year. The last 6 games last year got him in rhythm, worked on his game during the offseason. It's just going to continue the good stuff. He's all excited about getting married in March. Getting married to his longtime girlfriend, Jasmine. So that's exciting, but a lot more to do for him on the field this year.
Jacoby Jones, 4th in the league this year in kick return average. He's got a 32-yard run back to factor in. Sean Williams brings him down. Dalton, by the way, not only sets the single season mark for Cincinnati with touchdown passes, bettering the 32 that had been held by Carson Palmer. He also sets the Cincinnati single season record for pass yards.
How about that?
4,170.
Well, you look at this Baltimore offense. What do they got to do? They got to give Joe Flacco time first and foremost, and they need drive starters, something easy for this offense.
He's got Rice in the game, and he has a diving catch. No, incomplete. Pitta.
Does that play kind of explain it all? The guys, Pitta's coming wide open. Joe Flacco misses him. And listen, I've seen a lot of games by this Raven team, and Joe Flacco, he does not miss open receivers, and he's got to adjust, hang in there, settle down, and when it's there, he's got to make the throw.
Ravens have all 3 timeouts, 2nd and 10. And it's back to Pitta for the first.
It makes it tough too, Jim. It's easy for me to say all this stuff, but this is one rough defense. You can move it sometimes, but they got pass rushers. They're an excellent blitz team, and you always have to be on high alert. Here's their favorite look. 2 linebackers inside.
Flacco again. Makes the same throw to Pitta for 8 this time. And a timeout Baltimore, leaving him with 2. Again, we've talked about the Ravens scenario. Let's talk about the AFC North Division champions into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history, a 3rd straight year. They could move up as high as number 2 and get that first week bye if New England loses to Buffalo and the Bengals win this game.
That's well said. And of course, after this game, if they do win, they'll be eagerly watching the TV screen later today.
Coming up on the back end of our doubleheader, the Bills at New England, Denver out at Oakland trying to lock up the 1 seed. 2nd and 2. In trouble, and he's banged around again. Michael Johnson, and then later Marcus Hunt.
Not much he can do there. They had both defensive tackles switch positions, and the offensive line did not adjust. They chased too far. That opened up the lane, and Flacco went down again.
And a loss of 8. 3rd and 10 with 40 seconds. They're running after him. And he throws it in the direction of Pitta. It was Dunlap this time who really broke up Flacco's intentions.
Here's what happens. Watch the linemen do this, Jim, on the previous play, and they just don't have an answer for it. Marshall Yonda chases across the formation. It might have been man blocking. That, in the last play, Joe Flacco just not able to move. And it'll be interesting. I think there is a decision for the Baltimore Ravens.
Cook to Tate. The Bengals, who have 1 timeout. Can they do something here before the half? It's Tate. Well, just when you thought they might have good field position, there is a flag out. After a 49-yard punt by Cook and an 18-yard return.
So Flacco.
During the run back, illegal block in the back, number 53, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Tuesday, CBS Sports, with its long tradition of broadcasting the Sun Bowl. It continues down in El Paso with Virginia Tech and UCLA Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on New Year's Eve day.
Well, you know, Jim, as I said this, you know, Joe Flacco in the second half, I think you let him come back out. You still be the starting quarterback. You see how it reacts. Can he move the team? But if you think it doesn't give you the best chance to win, it's not the worst. For his protection and for your team, you might have to play Tyrod Taylor somewhere here in the second half.
Well, they're down 11. And meanwhile, the Jets are threatening to go in. They've got a goal-to-go situation down in Miami with that game tied 7-7 late first half. That was part of the equation. One of the ways it would work for the Ravens to go into the postseason for a 6th straight year. Win here today and have Miami lose to the Jets. 17-6, though, the last 17 of the half, and this one belongs to Cincinnati. Green with the long touchdown catch. And later it was Jones with a beautiful grab. And you're watching the NFL on CBS. Getting ready for the start of the second half. The Ravens will be receiving the second half kickoff. Let's listen to some of the sounds here in Cincinnati. Football like you've never heard it, presented to you by Sonos. As far as the effort by the Ravens, and after talking to John Harbaugh last night, he was talking about climbing a mountain here. This team was going to be coming out and playing a much more inspired type of an effort than what they saw last week against New England.
I think we saw that. I thought they played inspired. They're trying. There's no doubt about it. This is a really good football team they're facing, Jim, on both sides of the ball. they overcame a horrible start, and we saw the talent they have on both sides. So the Ravens, it's a tough task, even though they're down. The New York Jets are beating the Miami Dolphins at half, which they wanted, which I know they talked about at halftime. They got to come out here and make something early to get their team excited.
I know it's only halfway through the 1 o'clock games, but at this moment, things are breaking in the right direction for San Diego, and you could even say for Pittsburgh. With Baltimore losing at the moment here, and the Dolphins trailing the Jets at halftime. Here are the first half possessions for the Ravens. Field goal coming off the interceptions, and then very little to account for after that. 1 first down their last 4 drives. And their wide receivers today, 3 catches for 14 yards. It's Rice right into the line and maybe able to get a yard out of it. Here are the first half numbers for the quarterbacks. Flacco was sacked once, but he was knocked down a bunch of times. Dalton 2-2. 2 touchdowns after the 2 early picks. Second and 9. And that's incomplete. Looking for Jacoby Jones with Adam Jones on the coverage.
Yeah, Pac-Man Jones, that's his nickname now. Adam Jones, he has really played well, I think, here in the last few weeks. Teams like to throw to his side, and he's coming up 3 interceptions. What he couldn't do before, he does now. Find the football when it's in the air. He's been doing that very well.
Total yards after the 2 Raven field goals, 189 to 34 since that early action. 3rd and 9, and Flacco is sacked for the 2nd time today. Crocker, you saw him just ready to pounce on the blitz, and he got to him.
3 linebackers inside. Who's going to blitz? They don't know. Here comes this, and then that frees up Chris Crocker from the outside. So it really caught the Ravens in a tough situation. You got the crowd noise. You can't make the adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Awesome call by Mike Zimmer.
Cook. And a beautiful punt. The Tate returns 7 yards. Levine on the tackle after a 55-yard boot. And the Bengals have made life miserable this afternoon for Flacco. We mentioned the numbers just before that 3rd down snap, which resulted in a 9-yard sack. 24 yards of offense since Tucker's 2nd field goal. First snap of the 2nd half for the Bengals, and Dalton just rolling out of the pocket, throwing it into the ground in the direction of Orson Charles. How about the rebound by Dalton after a couple of poor throws at the start to come back and throw a couple of touchdowns and lead this offense?
Well, we heard Boomer Esiason talk about it at half. You got to be resilient. You're going to make mistakes in this league, Jim, and at least they're trying to be aggressive when they make those mistakes. But Andy Dalton said to us best opening game of the year, I'm going to go out there, play well, and shut up everybody who doubts my talent.
Over the head of A.J. Green with Smith on the coverage.
So I think that even that statement he made to us before the season says a lot about him, that he's determined. He's not worried about all the naysayers, because we know in this league, even though he's a young quarterback, you got to win a Super Bowl before we validate their career. It's incredible the way it is. That's just the truth. But he's had another solid year, and he keeps getting better in his 3rd year. And this offense, it's about the quarterback distributing the football.
It's a 3rd and 10 for Dalton. Wide open. Hopkins to the 45 of the Ravens. Gain of 14.
One thing I've really noticed that's a difference in him between the previous 2 years is when the pressure in the pocket starts to collapse, he stands right in there and throws over the top of the defensive players. It's a blitz. When there's a blitz, usually the pocket caves in pretty quick. Beautiful throw over the middle. Give a lot of credit to this offensive line. How about that? 17-6, 3 straight throws.
Going for another long ball, and it's overthrown. Excellent coverage by Jimmy Smith. He was right there with A.J. Green. If you thought your fantasy season was over, it's not, because you can play NFL Playoff Challenge. 8 players, 4 rounds. Learn more. NFL.com/fantasy.
Talking to Andy Dalton on Friday, too. We covered enough of his games, Jim. I remember his rookie year, seen him late in the year. He looked like a rookie, but it kind of hit the wall. You get tired mentally and physically. He said, what a difference. He's still fresh this late in the year.
And he gives to Green Ellis, running right behind the replacement center, Trevor Robinson, for 3. And now you see another player, Alex Smith, hobbling to the sideline.
He's holding that right arm down.
And again, they lost Kyle Cook in the first half with a foot injury.
2 starting tight ends are out, too.
Yep.
Which you talked about. They still have Orson Charles, who plays fullback and tight end, so great depth at that position, and they need it today.
3rd and 7.
Yep.
Intercepted, and it's Webb who has it. Very nearly had Jones strip him from behind. So Webb, who had only 1 pick on the year coming in, that was against Dalton in the earlier matchup. He gets him here.
It's pressure on the quarterback. That pocket really collapsed fast. I think he overthrew A.J. Green on the under route as he comes across and under because he had to throw the football before he was ready. That's a bad mistake. You can't take chances, not a chance, but you got to understand the score and be a little more careful in a situation like that as a quarterback.
And let's see if this is the spark that the Ravens needed. Flacco to Pitta, and he's down at the 41. The reception stands. By the way, this is the first time that Dalton has been intercepted in his career, 3 times in a home game.
Well, I'll give a lot of credit, of course, Webb, nice catch. But they pushed the pocket back and made him throw the football before he was ready.
2nd and 4. Over to Brown, and Marlon Brown is bumped out, but a first down for the Ravens.
Good start in this drive by this Ravens offense. Protection. Joe Flacco gets a little rhythm throwing the football. He got some easy throws. Finally. And also this Bengals defense, it backed off. The Ravens took advantage of it.
Corey Smith has just 1 catch in this game.
Neutral zone infraction. Number 98 defense, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, it's a big drive, of course, for this Ravens offense. Whatever you've saved for the second half, you bring it out now. This is the look that really confuses them. 2 linebackers near the center.
1st and 5. Over to Pitta. Walker's ahead. And he's out of bounds with another first down.
Awesome job by Joe Flacco. Chris Crocker once again comes on the blitz, untouched, catch it, looks, gets rid of it. It's a good thing they had a screen to the tight end.
Now from the Bengals 23, the draw to Rice. Tried to cut outside, and Maluga had a hold of him quickly. Gain of 2.
Linebackers, it's a really good group for the Bengals. They see a run, Jim, and watch how fast Maluga comes up, arms around, take him down. Vincent Ray Maluga.
2nd and 8, empty backfield, and Flacco throw away in the direction of Smith.
Good time here. Again, we said it about Andy Dalton. Joe Flacco, 17-6. If it's not there, it's not do or die. Try not to take a sack, but definitely don't turn it over. A field goal gets you to 1 score down.
They have missed on their last 6 third down attempts. They need to get to the 13 this time. Open to Pitta, but cannot cut it upfield and pick up the first. He's 3 yards short. They'll have to go field goal here to try to bring it down to a 1-possession game.
Well, it just shows you what a job that time. Michael Boley just chases Pitta down and brings him down. But the Bengals, when you move the ball on them, Jim, you can kind of see they got answers. They can change it up and take you out of rhythm with different combinations of pass rushers and blitzers. Again, the Ravens not able to take advantage of it.
Tucker, who already in this game has set the franchise record for points scored in the season, tries from 34, and he's 3 for 3 on the day. Justin Tucker. So, 3 interceptions by the Ravens today, and all 3 times the result was a field goal. And it's 17-9 now, Cincinnati, 3rd quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Domino's. Visit domino's.com. And by the redesigned Honda Odyssey. Honda, start something special.
You'll remember 2 weeks ago, the Ravens at Detroit never found the end zone. Tucker 6 for 6 on field goals. Last week, a touchdown against the Patriots. That's 1 touchdown in their last 35 possessions by the Ravens offense. And the run back is a good one all the way out to the 32 by Pierman. Well, look who's working on New Year's Eve. JB, Chris, and Phil Simms.
Don't
bringing in the new year.
Don't sound so shocked that we're going to work.
You guys are going to work, going to drop the ball, we're going to celebrate. Balloons will be flying.
There you go. No, we're going to drop Chris Collinsworth on his head. That's how we celebrate the new year.
Phil Simms, Rockin' Eve on Inside the NFL Wednesday night on Showtime.
There you go. Thanks, Jim.
It's Bernard. Nice little stutter step move to get out to the 39. That first is good for 7.
How about this Bengals offensive line, though? They get a little injury in there. They get a nick. Kyle Cook, the center, and they just move it around. I've noticed that in the last few games. They got depth. They got players. They got versatility, so they can move around and still get it done and give their quarterback a chance. Now you got Andrew Whitworth at left tackle instead of left guard.
2nd and 3. Call on Bernard again, and look at the Ravens run right down the line with them, including Elam. And the rookie pounding the ground as he makes the tackle behind the line for a loss of 4.
Yeah, really good. Number 26 gets right up in there. He had one of the best games I've seen the safety have all year. A couple weeks ago against the Detroit Lions. When he plays near the line of scrimmage, he can tackle, he can blitz, diagnose his plays quickly. He was definitely worth a first-round draft pick.
Let's see if the Ravens can get the Bengals off the field in a hurry.
Give them a taste of their own medicine as they fake this blitz up inside.
False start. Offense number 67. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's twice today Andy Dalton has tried to hard count to maybe fool the defense. You want to make sure if they're going to blitz, you get them off sides, or you get to see what they're going to do. And when those hard counts, his offensive linemen, they have jumped both times.
Mike Pollock seeing a lot of action today for Zeitler. 3rd and 12. Pass. Well defended. No flag. Looking for Jones.
Tell you what, Andy Dalton is definitely not shy. That football looked like it might have been wet. It slipped out of his hand. Jones going across the field. Boy, you got to square that route off. He's drifting away. That's how you get defensive backs to cut underneath you and get interceptions.
So a 3 and out is forced by Baltimore. First time today, and the punt. My gosh, it's into the stands. There's a snap hook.
The side judge never saw it.
I've never seen one. I've seen Shanks. Look out left.
The rush made him do it.
It's a 10-yard punt. This was a moment ago. Sean Powell in his 2nd week here as the Bengals punter.
Look at the football turning as he dropped it. The ball turned. Boy, he hit the outside of it. That's Darren Simmons, the special teams coach.
And it traveled only 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. So the Ravens have the ball at the Cincinnati 40.
You're talking about 3 turnovers and that punt. You can't get many more chances than this if you're the Ravens offense.
They stack the left side and go gun. Pass is threaded to Torrey Smith. That was a Flacco-esque pass that we saw in the postseason a year ago, right on the money for 14.
Yeah, Joe Flacco has shaken off the fact that he got beat up in the first half. They lined everybody up to the left. And that was a good word, just threaded, lasered, ripped, all descriptions fit.
First down draw with Rice, who's been carrying the load in the second half. They really barely used him in the first half and clearly sent a message.
Yeah, they're trying to get some steam going, and I think they have. His determination is apparent, no doubt. That time the tackle was by Domatal Peko. Or as he met us yesterday and he said, "Hey, Peko, good to see you."
2nd and 5, and Flacco to the end zone. He's open! It was Jacoby Jones who had his defenders beat.
Going against Dre Kirkpatrick, and this is what he sees every single week. Dre Kirkpatrick, he sees double moves because it worked on him in the preseason. It worked on him last week. He gave up 2 double moves. They constantly work on it in practice, but he's going to keep seeing them as long as wide receivers get by him.
All right, they've missed on their last 7 third down attempts. Third and 5. And they'll convert this time as Marlon Brown. He fumbles, but the ground calls the fumble. They're going to rule him down on the field. Picks up 9. The ball comes out when he landed.
The ground can cause a fumble when there is contact. Or I should say it's no fumble. As he jumps, it came out when that arm hit the ground. That's what it looks like to me. Possession, no fumble.
You're going to be challenged, though, by the Bengals. Marvin Lewis says, you know what, let's take another look at that.
Cincinnati is challenging the previous play.
The rookie from Georgia, undrafted, Marlon Brown. First look at it, Phil, what do you think?
No fumble.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T-Mobile. Unleash. And by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of current and former military members and their families.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver was down before he lost possession of the ball. Cincinnati is charged with a timeout.
Possession of the football, contact took him to the ground. So he had possession of the football when he hit the ground. That's why it's no fumble.
And the Ravens finally convert on third down. So a new set of downs at the Cincinnati 12. Bengals are out of challenges now with that one not going their way, and it's Rice running hard that time behind the center. Bratkowski and picking up 4, maybe 5.
So I look at this, 17-9, 8 points down. The Ravens just lining up right away. Why they're doing this, they're trying to give Joe Flacco extra time so he can look at the defense. If he doesn't like the play, then he can change it.
Rice split out wide to the right, 2nd and 6. Can pick up the first down at the 2. Flacco's going to the end zone, though, and he's open. It's Marlon Brown with the touchdown grab.
And they're going to go for 2. Usually I say don't chase the points. First the touchdown. A little seam route between the defenders. Both feet are in. Caught it cleanly. They really have high expectations for Marlon Brown. Ooh, that's close. But he is definitely in.
I'll tell you, that's a good-looking prospect right there for the Ravens. Brown, undrafted out of Georgia, where he played 2 seasons with A.J. Green.
The Ravens, 2-point conversion. Left hash. That tells you either they're going to give the guy on the left a chance one-on-one, or this play absolutely, the formation says it's going right.
Well, you're going against the book here that says kick it, but the Ravens looking for the tie. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
You got to go with your gut sometimes, and I agree with this call. The heck with the book.
Flacco. And a flag is out. Going to be called against Crocker, holding on to Brown.
Here's why I say go for 2, Jim. The importance of the game, the situation they're in. It's so rough on this offense. Now you know what you got to deal with the rest of the game because of going for 2, what it causes. How's that sound?
I agree with you here. You're as conservative as they come when it comes to going for 2.
Holding, 32 defense. Half the distance to the goal. Retry the extra point.
Chris Crocker, right in your screen, number 32, tried to run a little rub route. He panicked. You know why? Because he thought he was going to get picked. So he did the right thing and reached out and grabbed the receiver.
So the football's at the 1.
They changed personnel, brought in their big guys, trying to make this Bengals defense think, here comes the run.
And they brought in the fullback, Vontae Leach. And an extra lineman in Wagner for the 2 and the tie. The run for it. Rice cuts outside behind Leach, looking for it and finds it to tie the game at 17.
That's something to be excited about, Ray Rice. What a job reading it right and taking it outside and just gets there.
Boy, Harbaugh with a big hug for Rice as the Ravens have come back from 11 down to tie it. Remember, it was all set up by the 10-yard punt by Powell, and then Crocker called for the hold on the 2-point try that led to the Rice conversion from a yard out. And the game is tied at 17, as it was in the first meeting at the end of regulation, which the Ravens won in overtime. Flags are out, and that'll mean they'll be starting back close to the 10.
A tough football to bring out. High kick back of the end zone.
During the return, holding, number 99, half the distance to the goal. First.
Remember, the Ravens need to win, and they need help. Sure, there are scenarios if they lose and Miami, Pittsburgh, and San Diego lose. You can't bank on that because Pittsburgh's already up 17-zip early fourth quarter, so you can pretty much dispense with that. So perhaps given a little bit of
juice.
Juice at halftime. I'm sure they told him about the Jets winning down at Miami.
Late in the third quarter, still 14-7 Jets.
Green Ellis. And 3 Ravens are all over him, including Elam, along with Brandon Williams. No gain. And Pittsburgh blanking the Browns, who have really done nothing the back half of the season. For a team that is in transition, a young team trying to grow, not showing a lot here late in the year, but more importantly here, the Jets over Miami with a minute to go in the third quarter, up 7. No scoring so far in the second half of that game. 2nd and 10, and that would be good for a first down. Marvin Jones.
Beautiful throw, timing route. This is something that few teams do in the NFL, but the Bengals do it really well. When you got speed outside, Andy Dalton hit the back foot, puts it right on the target. The only defender that can stop you is a bad throw. Corey Graham, no chances because it's right on the sideline.
Jones with 4 catches, including a touchdown grab. Dalton on the feet, and he's got another 9-yard run. We've got an update on the Carolina Panthers-Atlanta Falcons game. JB and Shannon in New York.
Good protection for Cam means what?
Yes, JB. 1001, 1002, 1003, 4, 5, 6, 7, touchdown. 21-17, Carolina back in front of the Falcons.
I wonder that's how Phil counted as well. Back to Jim Nantz and Phil Simms.
I think it was 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. 2nd down and 1, and that'll be enough for the first down. And that's been a wild one down in Atlanta. Of course, you got all the scenarios on the NFC side too, and that Carolina story is a big one.
Yeah, they're fighting for the number 2 seed. Win, they get a week off. I'm gonna tell you, Jim, that is a lot of motivation to all these football teams to think that they could get a week off, rest up, and emotionally recharge and get ready for that first playoff game.
1st and 10. Bernard has Brandon Williams on him. Quickly, 1-yard gain. And you talk about that week off. I know that a lot of people don't think Buffalo's going to go in and beat New England at Gillette, but they've been playing well of late. The Bills have, and that's why Cincinnati, with a win here today, will be paying great attention to that game later, possibly moving up to the 2.
We've been talking about it all weekend. Teams don't lay down anymore in this league. How about the Jets? Oh, they're not going to beat the Miami Dolphins 14-7 at the end of the third quarter. What's Atlanta doing to Carolina? Atlanta's had a terrible year. They're going out there and playing. I'm sure the Bills will give it their best, and I think it'll be a tight game up in New England.
2nd and 9. And that's the first catch of the season for Orson Charles, who plays both fullback, tight end, a little H-back, but he's seeing action now because we saw Alex Smith walk to the sideline injured, and it's a wrist injury, not expected to return. So they're down their first 3 tight ends.
How about that? Yeah, the one thing about this Bengals team, they have overcome injuries and had this terrific year so far. They lost their 2 best defensive players. They made the adjustment. They've had injuries on the offensive line. They switched them around, and they still got the job done.
Saw Gresham on the sideline. 3rd and 1, and that's good for a first. Nata with the tackle, but too late. Gain of 5.
Saw some power in that run that time. The center, Zeitler, 68. Look at that double team along with Andre Smith. That's what got it done. Look down the line of scrimmage, you see the pushback. I'll tell you what, even in a double team, when you can move Haloti Ngata back, that's quite an accomplishment.
We keep talking about the Bengals scenario, trying to move up to a 2. They're also trying to stay as a 3 if everybody wins the division champs. They whip it over to A.J. Green for just a yard. Indianapolis is going to beat Jacksonville. They have been thumping them from the start. And if the Colts win and the Bengals lose, what that means now is Cincinnati could be talking about playing Kansas City next week. That's what it would be, because Kansas City's locked as the 5.
Is Kansas City going to rest a lot of their players today? They're going to do that. They have two dangerous pass rushers in an offense that's really clicked here late in the year. It doesn't matter. Playoffs, everybody's dangerous.
A.J. Green has just broken Anquan Bolden's NFL record for most catches, first 3 years in the league. Green to Bernard. Down the sideline. May have stepped out. They got him on the field. Out of bounds at the 26. Out of bounds back at the 26. Wasn't tackled till the 15, but he was out earlier.
Jim, just what he does, he gets to the edge, and is, because of his quickness and his cutting ability, able to beat the tackler to the spot. Oh, that's where he stepped out. You're right on the 25. That screen plays against a unique defense. Good timing again by Jay Gruden.
Bengals in the third quarter with a 27-yard gain. We're tied through 3, and you're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, there you go, through 3 frames. When they played 4 quarters November the 10th, it was 17-17 with a regulation-ending Hail Mary completion from Dalton to A.J. Green.
Yeah, 2 tips, and A.J. Green caught it.
Dalton told us the other day, the first time it's ever happened successfully for him at any level.
Well, at least he had it happen once.
Which Ravens went on to win that game in overtime. 1st and 10, throw here. It's Bernard, who just had the big gainer to close out the third quarter. He's got another 11. Well, actually, they spot him back at the 16, so just a game of 9.
Some equalizer. Suggs comes inside. They have the screen once again to the halfback, and I'm not going to say it's the difference in the game, but you get in trouble on the offensive side. If you're the Bengals, you just go, well, let's throw it to 25 against an aggressive defense. You always have to give playmakers. Giovanni Bernard, you got to give them chances. The Bengals doing that.
2nd and 1. And Bernard looks like he's got enough for the first down. Well, here it is. The one you just referred to, week 10. Down 17-10. Hedebo tapped it last, and Green stood alone. And Dalton said when he saw it tipped, he knew he had it.
Yep. Ravens somehow dug deep, and they found a way to win. It looks like they might have to do that again here today.
First down to the end zone, and a flag is out on Jimmy Smith. Going to be called for interference on against Marvin, trying to defend Marvin Jones.
Interference, number 22 defense. Ball will be spotted on the 1-yard line. First down.
Inside seam, going straight up the field. They love these plays, don't they, Jim? And they're good at it. We talked about it many times. Tall receivers, bump and run.
74 reporting eligible. 74.
And especially when they're inside, because now they can go in, they can go out. When they go straight, the defensive back is really not ready for that route.
This is a drive that's taken almost 7 minutes. 1st and goal to go, and a timeout's called by the Ravens, who don't know it, but again, needing the Jets to help them out. The Jets just missed a 35-yard field goal to go up 10. Nick Folk, who's been almost automatic, was wide right from 35 yards.
Man. It's a big moment. That's why the Ravens called a timeout. That's a huge timeout to waste in a game that means so. It's a waste any game in the NFL because so many of them are close. And in the second half, you save those timeouts, you know, like I've said many times, like it's gold, because it is. John Harbaugh, you can even see the frustration knowing using that timeout hurts game management by him.
Well, these defending Super Bowl champions, John Harbaugh, have been in a lot of big games the last few years, tight games, and have so many times found a way to pull them out.
That's all they've done this year. Every game they play comes down to the last drive. So physically and emotionally, sooner or later, that's going to wear you out.
Green Ellis, the running back, 1st and goal. Dalton has it for the touchdown. That's the third time today that Dalton kept it, and it's fooled him every time.
Well, it was on the game tape. If you watched it, they did it last week against Minnesota with wonderful success. I know whoever they play in the playoffs will be ready for that. I'm not sure who made the mistake. Suggs went so hard, tells me McLean maybe was supposed to scrape and make the play. I don't know, but it was a good call by Jay Gruden once again.
And it's the 14th straight time the Bengals have scored a touchdown when they've entered the red zone. Just amazing.
That's talent and innovation, no doubt. It takes place.
And I'll tell you one other thing. That's the 6th time this year they've driven 90 yards or more for a touchdown. That's the high total in the league. And they're back up by 7. Well, this next, let's call it 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to find out a lot of answers about the postseason, the direction and the seedings. Not everything's going to be worked out, but this is one of the hinge games right here. Dalton just went 5 for 5 on that drive and then rushed it in for a touchdown. The first quarterback to run for a touchdown against the Ravens since Kaepernick in the Super Bowl. And Jacoby Jones is tackled at the 22. But we've seen the Ravens already have to face the challenge of 11 down, come back and tie it. And now they come back out on the field 7 behind.
You said it earlier. They're used to the pressure. They've done it under it for 2 years. They got it done last year. This year they've had some games where they were able to overcome. This is going to be tough because this is a very talented Cincinnati defense. And what a drive by the Bengals. Backed up. The play calling and the execution were magnificent.
From the gun, Flacco, pass intercepted by Crocker.
Defensive lineman, quick pass, get your hands up. It's the inside slant. It's tight. That's Michael Johnson. That is tough. Michael Johnson, Carlos Dunlap, both about 6'5", 6'6". They look like they could play in the NBA. And Chris Crocker, nice job being alert, making the interception.
Michael Johnson's made a number of big plays in this game. He's been a menace to Flacco a number of times, and it leads to the pick, the 20th interception thrown by Flacco this season. Play action and Dalton. Incomplete, looking for Bernard. We got an update on what the Chiefs' strategy is going to be as far as actives and inactives for the game against the Chargers. JB, what's the story?
Graphically expressed, Shannon.
JB, I don't really think the Chiefs are trying to win this ball game. Look at all the inactives, 4 Pro Bowl starters, and they're not playing in the San Diego Charger game today.
Coach Cowher says it's the postseason that matters. Back to Jim and Phil.
So the Chargers go against a Chiefs roster we're not familiar with, and things are breaking their way in both of the early games at the moment as Bernard is tackled for no gain.
As you sit back and watch this today, you watch this Bengals offense and the play calling. How about that first down? They were going for the win right there on the first play. It didn't happen, so Andy Dalton threw it away, and Jay Gruden played in the Arena Football League, coached in the Arena Football League, calls plays like he's still there. It's attack every single play. And his offense, they're used to it.
Third and 10. And almost intercepted on the rebound by Elam as it bounced off the hands of Sanzenbacher.
Trying to throw a touchdown to Mohamed Sanu, but the defense is ready. Watch the double move. It's covered. They go back underneath. Looks like it's going to be short of the first down, but fortunate. Ball's tipped up in the middle of the field, usually get intercepted. Bengals get a break.
And Nugent is back out for a 38-yard field goal attempt. He was injured late in the season last year. They had to go with Josh Brown down the stretch. And Nugent for the 10-point lead, and he drills it. 10 points in a minute and 10 seconds after Johnson deflected it to his teammates. And then Nugent kicked it through.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new Windows. One experience for everything in your life. Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. And by the new Intel-powered 2-in-1s. Intel, look inside.
Well, the Super Bowl champs have a lot of work to do here in the fourth quarter. Down 10. Things down in Miami going the way that they had hoped coming into the day, with the Jets still holding on to that lead of 14-7, but not taking care of business on their end at the moment. Kobe Jones with a 35-yard run back. For Super Bowl champs not qualifying for the postseason the following year, we've seen it. We've seen it with Pittsburgh a couple of times. This is the last three right here, 06, 09, both Pittsburgh. And a year ago, the Giants didn't back up their Super Bowl win with a playoff appearance the next year. Flacco over to Rice, and he got hit by his teammate Marshall Yanda, and it knocked him off his feet for no gain.
Yeah, they don't like what they see down the field, so he dumps it off last year. Watch 73, boom, just knocks him down. But last year, when they dumped that pass off short, they were dynamic. Ray Rice can make it happen. There were people deep down the field covering receivers. Not this year. 5 yards a catch for Ray Rice.
They go with him on the draw this time. And it's only a gain of 3.
Saw who was inside blocking here. Marlon Brown. You talked about it, Jim. They should be excited about him. Talent, tough, blocks like a tight end when they need him to. But right now they need him to catch it like a wide receiver.
Cincinnati trying to finish the regular season undefeated at the Jungle. 3rd and 7. Here comes the blitz. The pass almost intercepted. Now Aluga had a play on the football. Now it's 4th down.
It's all about timing and spacing. Look how late this blitz comes against Joe Flacco, and it happens so late. He knows there's a free runner. He has to move, and again, very fortunate, not an interception that could probably have ended the game.
Cook with no pressure. Doesn't catch it fully to the 25. Tate, about a 4-yard run back. Baltimore for the 5th time today, 3 and out. And the ball belongs to the Bengals. Up 10. Quarter number 4. 10:47 left in this one. Jim Nantz sitting alongside Phil Simms. Week 17 as Greenhouse finally tripped up by Darrell Smith, and a gain of 8. So the Ravens again need a win here and need help. A win and a Miami loss would put them in. A win and a San Diego loss would put them in. Pittsburgh is not going to lose that game, so that last scenario, you can toss that one aside. They're up 20-0 with 5 minutes to go over Cleveland. And again, Cincinnati is trying to not only maintain its 3rd position, but possibly move up to a 2 if New England loses to Buffalo later. There's Hawkins. And that right there is your X factor with the Bengals. So early in the season.
Yeah, it's just another playmaker. Not surprised by the play selection. Bad snap, and Andy Dalton makes the catch. but they are constantly looking deep down the field. The outside move, up the inside seam, and Webb has no answer for it. That is tough because Webb has to stay outside. He made him think that he was going outside when Hawkins took it up in, wide open.
Missed most of the season, did Hawkins, with injured reserve designated to return. 38 yards on that pass play. Dalton pass with the feet down. What a catch as the Hadebo is shaken up on the hit. Jones with the catch, and the flag is out.
Double move on the sideline.
Flag was thrown already.
Does he get his feet down? Oh boy, what a hit. Looks like he's out. No body part came down in bounds, did not get the feet down. It's a clean hit. Doesn't use the crown of his helmet, gets to the side, hits him in the chest.
He got 1 foot in, but the other one was taken out of bounds.
There are 2 fouls against the defense. Illegal contact, number 32, that penalty is declined. Unnecessary roughness, number 32, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, they're calling it unnecessary roughness because they say the crown of his helmet hits on top of your screen. Another double move. Man, this is some aggressive offense. And then when you see that hit in full speed, I understand why they throw the flag. Jim, we saw it in slow motion to see that he turned his head. Hard to see full speed. That's why you turn your head to protect yourself.
So they explain it, the call to Harbaugh. The ball is marked at about the 12. Hadebo saying, I hit him with the shoulder.
Well, he's right. It was not illegal. He will not get fined by the NFL, I don't think. But it's yardage, the defense loses.
Jeremy Miles comes in for Hadebo, and up the middle, Green Ellis still fighting for it. And he's going to be ruled outside of the end zone by about a half a yard. He broke the tackle of Miles, who had just come in, number 36, at the end of this.
Look at the blocking down the field that time. The center, what a good job. Robinson gets the block. I was going to say, this Raven defense, hold them to a field goal, and you still have a chance to win this game. Give up a touchdown, that's 3 scores. Hard to come back.
And the Jets have now moved 10 up on the Dolphins with just 4 minutes to go.
Well, I should say 2 scores, 2 touchdowns.
Dalton's going to throw for it, and he is intercepted. Jimmy Smith gives them hope. On 1st and goal inside the 1, the Bengals looking for a 15th straight red zone touchdown, and they get intercepted for the 4th time today. Don't count the Ravens out yet.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Hurry to Subway for Customer Appreciation Month this December. Subway, eat fresh. And by AT&T. Rethink possible.
If the Ravens come back to win this game, that's going to be a play call that's going to be second guessed for the next 9 months. As Flacco finds that pass, very nearly picked by Dunlap. And a flag has come out.
Ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Gilberry is shaken up.
Unnecessary roughness after the play. Number 55, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Vontez Perfect is called for that. His second penalty today. And the ball will come back out to the 35. One of the Ravens just, I believe there's another flag just thrown. I believe on the Bengals.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 24 of the defense. 15-yard penalty.
Well, those 2 penalties are going to put the football at midfield. That's on Adam Jones.
2 penalties, personal foul. Wallace Gilberry, one of your best pass rushers.
That's the first penalty right there.
It's a pretty tough call. I'm not going to get on Burfict because, Jim, he wasn't looking at the football. He was reading the receiver and trying to time it. It was a push down.
A pair of 15-yarders. Ball at the 50.
Sorry, second one definitely uncalled for.
As Flacco goes way down the field on the sideline and out of bounds. Jacoby Jones pushed out by Reggie Nelson.
You talk about good job. You got to get feet down. Contact doesn't matter. Jacoby Jones out of bounds no matter what. But the Ravens, how much have they overcome today to still be in this situation? They made plays on defense that has kept them in the game.
2nd and 10, and Flacco looking for options. Spins away and throws it away. The Jets up 10, and Ed Reed has just made an interception for the Jets. And if his former team can somehow make up ground, well, they needed Miami to lose, did Baltimore. And there's just about 3.5 to go in that game, and the Jets are in the red zone. Up 10. Down the field and incomplete. Thrown toward Jacoby Jones.
Pocket collapsed. Joe Flacco uncomfortable, but most of all, nobody open down the field.
Well, 4th down, they got to go for it.
Yep, 10 points down at midfield, so even if you don't make it, it's not like a crushing defeat for your football team. But you're right, you have to go for it.
Showing blitz. And here they come. Flacco just throws it down the field. No one there but a defender. And it'll be as good as a punt. Down at the 15 off the pick is Kirkpatrick. Dunlap was on top of Flacco so quickly he just had to throw it off his back foot.
Well, he tried to throw it down the middle, anticipate the throw, but once again, it's free runners to the quarterback. The biggest fear the Ravens had in this game today, can they block the blitzers? And that fear, it was real, and the answer is no, they have not blocked the blitzers all day long. And when the moment is big, the Bengals have come with the defense, with the blitz every single time.
We saw earlier Gilberry down on the field. He got poked in the eye. That's what they're reporting from the sideline. Possibly will return. Natom makes the quick hit on Bernard. Holds him to 2. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the NFL Today update presented by Aflac. Join JB, Dan, Shannon Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest scores and highlights. The Jets got another field goal by Nick Folk to go up 20-7 with 2:59 to go. So things again trending very nicely for the San Diego Chargers at the moment. And Pittsburgh also figures into the equation. If somehow San Diego falls to a Kansas City team that's resting its starters, then the Steelers would be in if things hold up the current way. Bernard is thrown down by McClain. A nice piece of tackling. So here are all the scenarios. San Diego, the third column down, with a win and losses by Miami and Baltimore. That would put the Chargers in. Pittsburgh, it's got only about 1 minute and 50 to go, is going to win that game. Third and 7. Dalton somehow it got there to Marvin Jones. And that'll be good for more time off the clock. A new set of downs.
Huge. Good job moving in the pocket. Didn't like any tight windows. Don't take a chance. And this is some laser throw to the sideline by Andy Dalton, who was moving out of the pocket. But the one thing, the last two plays, Jim, the clock is moving. They snapped it with 10 seconds ago, and the last one was 7. You take that clock down to 1 or 2 seconds every play. 10. It's 25 seconds you kept on the clock. I mean, I'm being a little over-analytical, but it's the truth.
Well, let's go back. I mean, things have been happening so fast since they got picked in the end zone on a 1st and goal from the 1. Had you just run it there and failed a couple of times, you also would have burned another minute or 2 off the clock. Let's say if it had gone all the way to 3rd or 4th down.
Well, you know, you said it. That play, if they lose this game, it's going to be second-guessed anyway, even if they hang on and win. But if they lose, oh my gosh, they wouldn't hear the end of it.
2nd and 4. They snapped that one with 12 on the play clock. Gain of 3.
Tell you what, whoever's talking to Andy Dalton in that headset, you gotta, you go forward, those times, these seconds are precious when you talk about do or die football games, especially next week, maybe in a playoff game.
This is on the heels of all the delay of games and the near delay of game calls in the first half.
98.
Now a big 3rd and 1. They toss it. Ravens are there. And 4 of them combine on the stop. Actually, 5 Ravens in on Bernard. And that'll bring out Powell, whose last punt was one that he would like to forget and not have on his mind as he gets set to boot it here. Timeout called by the Ravens.
Still good job by the Bengals offense, getting the first down, changing field position, and taking some time off the clock.
Gilberry again, who was poked in the eye. And still an issue.
He's a big part of this defense, Wallace Gilberry. They lost Geno Atkins, their best inside pass rusher. Well, he's come around, and he has done a good job rushing the passer in that spot and has been very valuable to this team and the defense.
All right, let's check out Powell. Jacoby Jones, of course, so dangerous at the other end with 4 career punt return touchdowns. This one, a line drive to the 10. Jones breaks the tackle, wanting to go to the far side, but the Bengals have it covered up. Chris Lewis Harris finally closed it out. 48-yard punt and just a 3-yard return.
Good job by the defense hustling down there, Jim. That punt didn't sound great. It was a low liner, but the pursuers got down there quick and got it done.
4:15 to go and down 10. Was intercepted, and this one's going to be run back by Kirkpatrick for the touchdown. The 6th defensive touchdown by the Bengals in their last 5 home games. Kirkpatrick runs it back 21 yards off of Flacco's 3rd pass interception thrown on the day.
Kind of summed up the whole year for the Baltimore Ravens offense. Timing not there. Throw was off target. Just not able to make it happen.
can only imagine how welcome that news was out in San Diego. Kirkpatrick, who started today because Terrence Newman was inactive with a knee injury, scores his first career touchdown, the first rounder a year ago out of Alabama.
Stays outside. That's where he was supposed to be. He had help on the inside, and when the throw's all flying, he's right where he should have been. We talked about him early in the game, playing better, first-round draft pick out of Alabama. Everybody's trying to pick on him.
How often do you see Flacco that far off the mark?
Well, you know, Jim, the team, the weapons, the offense, his injury, put it all together, and it's a lot to overcome.
Well, Pittsburgh's the final now. And again, all signs are pointing to the Chargers with a win over Kansas City, grabbing that last playoff berth in the AFC. If Kansas City somehow beats them out there, again, not even going with Jamal Charles or Dwayne Bowe or Alex Smith, if that somehow happens, the Steelers would work their way all the way back from 0-4 at the beginning of the year to grab the final playoff berth in the AFC. I mean, look, 2 weeks ago you're trying to figure out, okay, this team's still mathematically alive. Take the Chargers. They needed 6 things to happen. They needed win-win, and they needed Baltimore loss-loss, and they did Miami loss-loss. And right now they're going to have, it appears, 5 of the first 5 things to go their way, with their game still to come.
Well, we were talking about it yesterday. We don't think they would get a chance to get to the playoffs. Their chance looks like it is here if the Jets can hold on down in Miami. But Phillip Rivers, that coaching staff, what they do on both sides, I look at them as a dangerous team in the playoffs.
And of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, assuming they go ahead and finish this thing off. Marvin Lewis, who was part of that Super Bowl team when the Ravens won in 2000. But the Bengals hoping somehow Buffalo can upset New England in Foxborough, which would move them up to the 2. They're going to take Gil Berry in. They clinch a first-round bye with a win, and if New England loses later this afternoon.
Say this about the Bengals. Pretty exciting team, aren't they, to watch? The game gets a little dull, don't worry. They'll make something happen and get it going again on either side.
Ball tipped, then caught by Rice for a first down. You make a good point, though, about Dalton. I mean, he's had a career-high 4 interceptions today. He appears to be a guy that maybe doesn't get to him too much.
Yeah, I think
the fans do.
He was fine all day, but I'll tell you, Jim, that 4th interception, that's the one he's going to carry into the night. It'll keep him motivated during the week. I think we'll see a sharp quarterback next week if they do play.
Hit it for the first down, but you know, he threw those 2 early picks. Seemed pretty unaffected, though, didn't he, after that?
He did, no doubt. Hey, listen, they throw the ball a lot. They got a versatile offense. They do a little bit of everything. So even when he gets off rhythm, Jay Gruden can call so many different style of plays that gets him back in rhythm and gets his confidence going.
It's Jacoby Jones, and he's got a first down at the Bengals 40. I was talking about San Diego needed those 6 things to happen heading into week 16. Pittsburgh needed 4 results last week to stay alive. They got all 4. They need 4 more today, and it looks like they're going to get the first 3 of that equation, as Pitta has another reception. Here are the Ravens, who were at 4-6 and then went on a 4-game win streak. But the Bengals just 2 minutes away from closing this out. You're looking at Mike Zimmer, his defense with 7 return touchdowns this season, including 1 today. 2 minutes to go. Ravens down 3 scores. Dump it off to Rice. Miami has lost and has been eliminated. The Jets go down there and win 20-7. And Pittsburgh wins by an identical score. Pittsburgh, the Jets, and the Dolphins all 8-8. Jets have no chance coming into the week to get the postseason. And again, San Diego's in the driver's seat at the moment. Rice again with a catch. And John Harbaugh looking as though he will miss out on the playoffs for the first time in his distinguished head coaching career in year number 6, making it the first 5 years, and of course taking the title last year. Rice scoots to the 10. Ravens have 1 timeout left. And that's the last timeout for Baltimore. Coming up, Peyton will try to lock down the 1 with a win out at Oakland. Brady will try to secure the 2 and hold off Cincinnati for that first week bye. Plus Kansas City at San Diego, and the Chargers with a win would claim the final playoff berth in the AFC.
You're going to be talking about playoff scenarios in your sleep tonight. It's unbelievable.
Right.
But it is amazing. We said that last night going all over this. It's never going to go the way you think. And today, another perfect example of that.
The AFC is going to come down to San Diego or Pittsburgh. San Diego with a win would grab it. With a loss, Pittsburgh would have a miraculous turnaround and get the final berth. First and goal. Over to Torrey Smith. Turnaround move and out of bounds at the 7. And what you're going to be hearing about in the days ahead are the Bengals ready to finally break through and pick off a postseason victory. Hasn't happened since 1990. It's the longest drought without a playoff win in the league of any team.
Well, what they wish for starting the year to at least get a playoff game at home, win their division, they've done those 2.
Second and goal, and Flacco, who's had a rough day. Many of you just joining us. Flacco's thrown for 190 yards, 1 touchdown, but he's been picked 3 times. And the last one was returned by Drake Kirkpatrick for a touchdown.
The Ravens fixed their defense this past offseason. A lot of changes. This coming offseason, this offense, they're going to have to revamp it.
Third and goal, and a diving attempt by Marlon Brown.
Communication, timing, protection, skill, it's endless. They've overcome because they are a tough football team, the Ravens. Their defense here late in the year, I think, has played very well. A lot of points the last 2 weeks. It's really not their fault. Most of it comes from offensive turnovers and awful field position for the defense.
4th and goal as the Super Bowl champs are about to see their reign end with no postseason. And Marlon Brown is stopped short by Crocker, and the Bengals have certified their division title with a win that'll eliminate the Ravens.
I think, too, when you look at the Bengals today, even John Harbaugh said it last night, very talented team. Coming of age, the quarterback, 3rd year, played well most of the year. 4 interceptions today, pretty rough, but he can overcome it.
We still cannot give you the order for the first 4 with Denver, New England, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. The seeding positions are still up for grabs with the late games coming your way. Kansas City is sitting all of their starters virtually in the game against San Diego, and the Chargers control things as of this moment. Win over the Chiefs, and they'll be in the playoffs. Lose, and the Steelers will take the 6th seed. The Cincinnati Bengals close out an undefeated regular season at home for the first time in 25 seasons. Back in '88 when Boomer Esiason took them all the way to the Super Bowl, only to lose in a close one to San Francisco. It's been that long since they were 8-0 at the Jungle. But the Ravens will miss out on the playoffs for the first time in a long time after 5 straight appearances. The final score is Cincinnati 34 and Baltimore 17. Coming up next, the NFL on CBS continues. You'll see either the Bills and the Patriots, the Broncos battle the Raiders, or the Chiefs and the Chargers. For Phil Simms and all the crew, Jim Nance saying so long from Cincinnati. Coming up, the NFL Today update presented by Aflac will take you to New York for all the scores and highlights right after this.